Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss a few of the things that you have to do if you didn't make the cut to get into a Federal Service Academy this year. My last video addressed the harsh reality for those who didn't make the cut this year. The link is at the end of this video or down below in the comment box. If you haven't seen that, I suggest that you go and take a look at it after looking at this video and to get an idea of where this video came from. But for all of you out there who didn't make the cut this year and want to reapply, this video is for you. So please stay all the way to the end, as each one of these little segments has a little nugget that you can use, hopefully to make your try next year even more successful. So let's get right into it. First, you have to understand why you didn't make the cut. There's several reasons of why you didn't make the cut. The most obvious is medical. If you're not medically qualified or you could not get a waiver for a condition that just disqualify you, there's nothing that you can do about that. However, if you had waited too long to get into the Dodd-Mehrn process and could not get a waiver, but you believe that your condition is waiverable, then you have to start the process earlier this year to get that process done. But you have to be very honest with yourself about medical. If I try this year, am I going to get the same results as last year? I'm just not medically qualified. And it's just as simple as that, and you have to accept that reality. Next, do you come from a highly competitive state or district for the academy that you apply to? It's not unusual to have very highly qualified students apply to the top 3 schools, Army, Navy, and Air Force, from areas like Virginia, Maryland, New York State, etc., that do not make the cut to get in. If they were from any other state, they would get in. So you have to ask yourself, am I in a highly competitive area, and what can I do about it? Well, obviously, there's 2 things you can do about it. The first one is move. Many people move to different areas and claim residence there. Many people go to different schools and claim residence there. Not as easy as it sounds, but people do it. The next thing is to understand that, hey, maybe in my district, say I live in Virginia, and everybody wants to go to the Naval Academy in Virginia or Maryland, maybe it's not as competitive to get into the Merchant Marine Academy or the Air Force Academy. You have to look at what the stats are. And you can get those stats very easily by going to the Academy Admissions website and see where the candidates come from, or by talking to your senators and your congressmen, those aides that handle the Academy admissions process. Now, for example, where I live, Navy and West Point are highly competitive to get in. But interestingly, we do not have as many candidates for the Air Force Academy or Merchant Marine Academy. So if you really want to fly, but your heart is on Navy, maybe you want to look at the Air Force Academy or the Merchant Marine Academy for that option. You have to look at what the odds are getting in. And that's for you guys and gals in the highly competitive areas. Next, grades. You have to understand where you fell out on the SAT, ACTs, and grades. Now, your high school grades, you really should have a really good feeling of where you rank in the class. Not all high schools rank, but many do. And if you are not in the top 10% or 5% of your class, and you're in the middle range of your class and you didn't get in, well, obviously your grades are too low. You also have to understand where your SAT, ACTs were. That is also another easy thing to do. Just go to the Academy admission pages on the internet, look at the last class that is posted, look at the average SAT and ACT scores. If you don't fall into that range and you're below it, that's probably one of the reasons you didn't get in. Now, obviously, you can't go back to high school and retake all the classes that you didn't do well in. That ship has sailed. However, you can go and take the SAT and ACTs again and again and again, and you can get that score back up there. And that's what you really should be doing anyway. If you do not have perfect SAT, ACTs, you should sit for them again and get that score up there and get it as high as possible. It will not hurt you. Now, academic grades. Hopefully you are going to go to college. You're going to go either to community college or you're going to go to a regular civilian school and take classes. So if you follow this channel, you know that I am very anti-fluff classes. And especially in a situation like this where you are reapplying to a service academy, you cannot take fluff classes. You must take all the STEM classes that you can. So from the calc and physics and chemistry that you took in high school, you want to expand on that during your first year in college. Now, many colleges require a minimum number of credits, and you might not be able to get there with your STEM classes, so you're going to have to take electives. Do not take basket weaving. Do not take contemporary music. Take STEM and or English composition, English writing classes, and that will strengthen your position for reapplying next year. Also, if you are in a college and did not get an ROT scholarship, I encourage you to look for a ROTC unit and join that unit. Now, you can join as a non-scholarship member. You can be active in the unit. They drill frequently, so many times a week, so many times a month. I encourage you to go and do that. It doesn't make a difference in what service it is, whether it's Navy or Army ROTC or Air Force ROTC or whatever. Just get affiliated with the ROTC unit, and it can only help your application for next year. Next, your outside activities were weak. You didn't have enough activities. Once again, you cannot go back and do Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all those activities in high school. That's gone. So what you really have to do now is I encourage you to join clubs, your college clubs. I encourage you to get very active volunteering in the community, not just a one-off here and there and do something, but become an active volunteer in your church, some social group or whatever that does something on a very regular basis. I also encourage you now to play sports in college. If you can make your college team for whatever your chosen sport is, that's great. That's really great. However, if you cannot make the team, I encourage you to do intramurals. Many colleges and community colleges have intramural programs, and I encourage you to join them. Now, for the outside activities, it is imperative that you take a leadership role. You take a leadership role as a captain, a team manager, an organizer for these activities, a leader in your church group, whatever, but you want that leadership position on your application and your resume going forward for next year. It's extremely important. Now, obviously, all the things that you did in high school, all the things that accumulated all the way up to graduation in high school will not equal that 1 year at college. Things kind of fall off in your life because college is a much different experience than high school. All the activities that circle around high school do not circulate around as easily in college. So you really have to make an effort here to make sure that your activities in sports and groups and whatever are stronger than you did in high school, and that you actually grow beyond that. And that shows growth. And that's what these academies are looking for people that reapply. Now, hopefully you stayed this long, and I'm going to tell you the secrets of what you have to do to be successful in reapplying to a service academy on the second try after high school. The first one, and I'll call it 1A. 1A is contact your academy liaison officer and the academy admissions office. And be very frank with them. Say, hey, look, I really wanted to go there. I didn't make the cut this year. Can you please tell me why I didn't make the cut? Where was I lacking? What do I have to do to improve? And hopefully they will tell you, hey, you know, your SATs weren't there, your grades weren't there, you weren't very active in sports or whatever, but hopefully they will share that information with you. And a lot of times they will, if they encourage you to reapply, they will basically tell you, you got to get your SATs up, you got to be more active, you got to get a high score on the CFA or whatever. But go and reach out to the Academy Liaison Officer and the Admissions Office. Second, if you did not get a nomination, call it 1B. If you didn't get a nomination, contact the Senator's office, the 2 Senators' office, and your Congressman's office, and ask the same question. I didn't get a nomination last year. What can I do this year to strengthen my chance of getting a nomination from the Senator or Congressman? Hopefully the staffer, the aide that's handling the Academy admissions will pull your file and say, hey, look, your grades weren't as strong, your SATs weren't there, whatever. They will give you some direction on what you have to do to improve. And it doesn't hurt to let them know that you're going to try again and you really want to improve. A lot of time these people do want to help. They do want to reach out to constituents, and obviously a congressman and a senator is an elected position. So they want their constituents not only to re-elect them, but to think that the best of them. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone and talk to these people. It's important that you talk to them. Now, speaking about the Academy Liaison Officers, hopefully you reached out to them, hopefully you spoke to them, develop a relationship with them. Maybe they will help direct you through the process if you didn't get direction last year. Now, I put together a video, and I'll put a link below to that and at the end of this video, about why you need mentorship in this process. Maybe you are a strong candidate, but maybe you just didn't put together the best package. And maybe you need somebody to look over your shoulder and make sure that you hit the marks, that your essays were good, and that you did all the things that you were supposed to do. It could be just as simple as your package, your essays, and your background of all the things that had to get done just wasn't complete or just wasn't up to snuff. So you really have to understand that. So I encourage you to reach out to the Academy Liaison Officer and also get a mentor to look over your shoulder and help you with all those things. And I have a video about that, and I'm not going to go deep into that right now. Also, when reapplying, do not make the same mistake that you made last year. And what's that mistake, you say? Do not use the same essays. Obviously, your essays and your application from last year didn't get you in. So please do not cut and paste the essays and just cut them and paste them into this year's application. It didn't work last year, it's not going to work this year. So what I suggest that you do is that you rewrite them, or that you expand on the ones, that you expand on them, you make sure that they're more detailed and that they have more substance to them. And once again, you have to use a mentor for that. But do not just cut and paste and resubmit. It didn't work the first time, it's not going to work the second time. So just don't do that. Now finally, in my experience, it is much harder to get in to a service academy reapplying. Many people say, these guys reapply 2 or 3 times. It's hard. And the reason that it's hard is because while you were at high school, everything revolves around high school. Your clubs, your sports, your teacher evaluations, scouts, volunteer groups, all that is all surrounded by high school. High school is like your life. Now you're at a high school. So that 4 years of high school that you had, now you have an extra year. And all that stuff is kind of history. So what you got to make sure that you do is that your 4 years of high school basically extends another year. So all your activities that you did in high school expand, that you don't drop off. So if somebody says, well, what did you do as a volunteer? Well, when I was in high school a year ago, we did this project and we helped these people and we did this and we did that. Oh, what sports are you playing? Oh, well, when I was in high school, I played football, I played basketball. But what did you do for the last year? So you have to keep that momentum going. And you're going to have to find a new set of people to write letters of recommendation for you. Now, these people in high school, they wrote recommendations for you based on the past 4 years that they know you. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go back and ask some of those people for recommendations, and maybe you should, but the next year after high school, you're going to have to develop people who are going to write really good recommendations. And those are going to be some of your professors at college and maybe your coaches at college. So you're going to have to develop that in a very short time. So I'm not totally negative on reapplying. I just want you to understand that when you reapply, that people that are in high school in their senior year, they have all this stuff going on. But when you're in the first semester of college, when you get your interview in October, November, you don't have all that stuff going on. So just be aware of that and just keep the momentum going. So I hope that this video helps you out. I hope that you took something from it. And I strongly encourage you to comment down below, ask a question. Usually I try to get back to all the comments and questions as quick as I can if I'm not traveling or working. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck to you, and do your best over this next year. So bye now.